You don't miss the past the way people think you do. You miss the version of you who knew what to expect even if it hurt. And I want you to hear this softly, the way you'd tell the truth to someone you love. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. It makes you wise. Because your system learned something long ago. Certainty feels safer than possibility, even when certainty comes wrapped in pain. So if you've been hovering at the edge of a new chapter and you can't quite step in, if you keep circling back to old memories, old conversations, old versions of yourself, you're not broken. Your heart already knows this. You're trying to protect something tender inside you that once got hurt when it dared to hope. Let that settle for a moment. And as you take a breath right now, notice what your shoulders are doing. Notice if they've been holding themselves up like they're carrying something heavy. You don't have to force them to relax. Just notice. Your body already recognizes this truth. It's been carrying your history in quiet ways. There's a particular kind of tired that comes from carrying old chapters as if they're still happening. Not the tired that comes from a long day, not even the tired that comes from grief that's honest and moving. I mean the tired that comes from time traveling emotionally, replaying what you said, what you didn't say, what you should have noticed sooner, what you should have done differently. The tired that comes from living life while also managing a private courtroom in your mind, where you're both the prosecutor and the one on trial. And maybe you don't even call it that. Maybe you call it being realistic. Maybe you call it being careful. Maybe you tell yourself you're just trying to learn from the past so it doesn't happen again. But if we're being gentle and true together, have you noticed how learning can sometimes turn into punishment? How reflection can become a place you get stuck? You've been carrying this. Sometimes it looks like walking into new relationships with a quiet brace in your chest, like you're preparing for the moment you'll be disappointed. Sometimes it looks like success that doesn't feel like joy, because the moment something good happens, you start waiting for the other shoe to drop. Sometimes it looks like saying, "I'm fine," because you're tired of explaining something no one seems to understand. And what makes it especially lonely is that you might look completely functional to everyone else. You show up, you handle things, you take care of people, you keep going. And then in the stillness, late at night, or in the shower, or in those strange, quiet moments when life pauses, you feel it. That old heaviness, that old ache, that old story. This hasn't been an easy journey for you. So many people are walking around with the same invisible weight, smiling through it, achieving through it, caring through it. And yet here you are, listening, still willing to soften, still willing to heal. That takes courage, sweetheart. Real courage. I am willing. I am worthy. I am here. Not as a performance, as a choice. And if you feel emotion rising, sadness, relief, tenderness, let it be welcome. That's the past loosening. That's the future opening. Your radiant future is not far away. It's not waiting at the end of a perfect healing journey. It begins in the moment you soften your grip on who you had to be, and you allow who you truly are to lead. Like dawn arriving without force, like light touching the world gently, steadily, your life can begin again. And yes, I said begin again, because you are allowed to start fresh at any moment. You are allowed to release what was never yours to carry. You are allowed to embrace what is calling you forward. And somewhere deep inside, you've always known you were made for more than survival, and that more is already reaching for you now. Now let me offer you something that might change the way you've been trying to let go. What if releasing the past isn't about pushing memories away, but finally letting them tell the truth they've been holding inside you? Because so often, the past doesn't cling to you because you're obsessed with it. It clings because it's unresolved in a very specific way. Not always unresolved in the sense of unfinished business with other people, but unresolved in the sense of your own heart not fully receiving what happened. Sometimes you lived through something painful, and you didn't have a safe place to feel it. So you swallowed it. You got practical. You got strong. You got efficient. You kept the family together, or you kept your job, or you kept your relationship alive, or you kept your dignity. You did what you had to do, and a part of you stayed back there, not because you failed, but because you survived. Have you ever noticed how the mind tries to solve what the heart needs to grieve? How we keep thinking if we understand it enough, we'll be free. Understanding is beautiful, it's helpful, it's holy in its own way. And yet sometimes the missing piece is not more analysis, it's more tenderness. It's the moment you stop asking yourself, why am I like this? And you begin asking, what happened to me that made my system believe it isn't safe to relax? This is important to hear. The past lives in the body as much as it lives in the mind. It lives in the way you inhale and hold your breath without noticing. It lives in the way your stomach tightens when you receive a text that could be perfectly innocent. It lives in the way your jaw clenches when you're about to speak your truth. It lives in the way you rush through joy, like you're afraid of being caught enjoying yourself. And that's why letting go as a concept can feel so frustrating. Because the mind says, I've decided, I'm done. And the body says, thank you for your optimism, but I remember what happened last time we trusted. Somewhere along the way, you learned that staying vigilant was safer than being hopeful. Maybe you learned it in a loud way, through betrayal, loss, abandonment, sudden endings, unpredictable anger, or being blamed for things you didn't understand. Or maybe you learned it in a quiet way, through subtle emotional neglect, through always having to be the responsible one, through being praised for your maturity while your needs were overlooked. And so you became someone. You became the peacemaker, the achiever, the caretaker, the one who doesn't ask for too much, the one who handles it, the one who stays 2 steps ahead, the one who reads the room like a weather forecast. And yes, I said weather, because you might have learned to sense moods the way a sailor senses storms. Not because you're dramatic, but because it kept you safe. Your sensitivity became a strategy. But here's what I've come to understand. The strategies that saved you in the past can become the bars of your future if you never update them. And that can feel scary to hear, because if you let go of vigilance, who are you? If you stop bracing, what protects you? If you stop replaying, what keeps you from being blindsided? So I'm not going to ask you to drop your protection all at once. I'm not going to ask you to forgive prematurely or to rush yourself into high vibration. I'm going to sit with you in the honesty of how the past holds on, and then we'll walk slowly toward the future your soul has been quietly longing for. If your body tightens when you think about moving forward, it isn't sabotaging you. It's protecting you the only way it knows how. That tightness is not your enemy. It's not proof you're not ready. It's a signal. It's your system saying, if we're going to change, we need safety, not pressure. And this is where most spiritual content goes too fast. It tries to lift you into light without acknowledging your nervous system has a history. It tells you to choose joy when your body has been trained to choose survival. So let's do this in a way that actually works. Right now, as you listen, you might gently place a hand on your chest or your belly if that feels supportive. Not as a performance, not as a ritual you have to do perfectly, just as a quiet message to your body. I'm here with you. And ask yourself, without forcing an answer, what part of me is still living back there? You might feel a memory, you might feel an emotion, you might feel nothing at first. All of that is okay. Sometimes numbness is how your system says, we're not ready yet, and we respect that. Now here's the first teaching wave, the foundation that everything else rests on. Releasing the past is not an event. It's a relationship. It's the relationship you build with your own experience. The way you stop meeting your past with judgment and start meeting it with understanding. The way you stop trying to get rid of parts of yourself and begin welcoming them home. Because the past doesn't always need to be fixed, sometimes it needs to be listened to. Sometimes it needs to be honored. Sometimes it needs to be completed emotionally, even if it can't be completed practically. So I want to offer you a question that is softer than, why did this happen? What did I make it mean about me? That's where the past often hides its sharpest hook. Maybe you made it mean you're not chosen, not enough, too much, unlovable, unsafe, replaceable, a burden, a problem, hard to keep, easy to leave. And you may not say these words out loud. You may say them through your choices, through what you tolerate, through how little you ask for, through how often you abandon yourself before anyone else can. Your heart already knows this. The pain of the past is not only what happened, it's what you concluded about your worth because of what happened. And that conclusion can follow you like a shadow, even into sunshine. So the first step of release is not forget. It's not erase. It's not move on. It's to gently separate the event from the identity. What happened, happened, and it mattered. And you're allowed to feel that. You're allowed to name it. You're allowed to grieve it. And now what happened is not who you are. You are not the abandonment. You are not the betrayal. You are not the mistake. You are not the rejection. You are not the version of you who didn't know then what you know now. You are the one who lived through it. You are the one who kept going. You are the one whose heart is still capable of love. Let that land fully. Now the second teaching wave is the one that makes people exhale, because it explains why letting go has been so hard. You may still be loyal to the past because it gave you an identity. Not a happy identity, not a comfortable one, but a familiar one. If you've been the strong one for a long time, releasing the past can feel like losing the role that got you love, respect, or safety. If you've been the fixer, embracing a radiant future can feel terrifying because it asks you to receive instead of manage. If you've been the one who expects disappointment, joy can feel suspicious, like a setup. And so the past keeps its grip, not because you like pain, but because your system has associated pain with predictability. This is why you can be standing in a new season of life and still feel like you're in the old one. Your outer world shifts faster than your inner template. So we update the template gently. Here's one practice I want to give you, simple, grounded, and deeply powerful when you do it with sincerity. When a past memory arises, instead of trying to push it away, you say quietly inside yourself, "I'm listening. What do you want me to know?" And then you wait. Not for a dramatic message, not for fireworks, just for the subtle truth underneath. Often the memory isn't asking you to relive the pain. It's asking you to stop abandoning yourself the way you had to abandon yourself back then. Maybe it wants you to say, "That hurt." Maybe it wants you to say, "I didn't deserve that." Maybe it wants you to say, "I was doing my best." Maybe it wants you to say, "I'm safe now." Maybe it wants you to say, "I'm allowed to want more." And if you don't know what it wants, you can offer the simplest medicine. I'm here with you now. Do you feel the difference? You're not trying to win a war against your past. You're creating reunion inside yourself. And this is where the future begins, not in a big leap, but in a small return. Now let's talk about radiant future, because those words can feel almost unreal when you're tired. They can feel like something meant for other people, people who didn't get hurt, people who have more support, people who didn't waste time, people who aren't behind. So let's name that too. If you've been telling yourself you're behind, it's because you've been measuring your life by someone else's timeline, not your soul's timing. Your soul does not rush, it ripens, like fruit that can't be forced by willpower, only by season. And yes, that metaphor matters, because you were never meant to hustle your way into healing. You were meant to receive it in layers. Imagine the future as sunlight on your skin, not something you chase, but something you allow yourself to stand in. That's what radiance really is. Not perfection, not constant positivity, not a life without pain. Radiance is the part of you that remains true even after pain. It's the glow of your essence when it's no longer covered by shame. And you don't create radiance by fixing yourself. You create radiance by remembering yourself. Somewhere deep inside, you've always known your future isn't waiting for you to be flawless. It's waiting for you to be free. So how do we release the past in a way that truly opens the door? We do 3 things, and we do them with gentleness. First, we honor what the past protected, because even the patterns you don't like served you once. Overthinking served you by helping you anticipate danger. People-pleasing served you by helping you maintain connection. Avoiding conflict served you by keeping you safe from backlash. Emotional numbness served you by helping you function when feeling was too much. So instead of shaming these patterns, you thank them. You might say, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe," and then you add, "I'm learning a new way now. This is not childish. This is intelligent. This is how the nervous system changes, through safety and appreciation, not through attack." Second, we grieve what we didn't get. This is where release becomes real. Because many people try to let go of the past without letting themselves mourn it. You might need to grieve the love you didn't receive, the apology you never got, the childhood you had to grow out of too soon, the relationship you hoped would change, the version of you who believed harder, tried harder, waited longer. And grief is not weakness. Grief is love with nowhere to go. So if tears come sometimes, or anger rises, or you feel an ache in your chest when you think about what was lost, let that be sacred. Let that be honest. Let that be part of your liberation. This hasn't been easy for you, and the fact that you're still here means your heart is incredibly strong. Not hard, not closed, strong. Third, we choose a new present moment identity, not as an affirmation you recite mechanically, as a truth you practice. Because the past often holds on through identity statements you repeat without realizing. I'm the one who gets left. I'm the one who has to do it alone. I'm the one who can't trust anyone. I'm the one who has to earn love. I'm the one who doesn't get what they want. So we rewrite, not by pretending, but by updating. I'm the one who is learning to stay. I'm the one who is building support. I'm the one who can trust myself. I'm the one who is worthy of love. I'm the one who chooses what aligns. And yes, you might not fully believe these yet. That's okay. Belief is not the first requirement. Willingness is. Now I want to open a loop gently, because there's one piece most people miss about releasing the past, and it changes everything. But first you need to understand this next truth. The past often stays alive because your body expects the same ending, even when life is different now. So if you're in a healthy relationship, your body might still brace for betrayal. If you're in a new job, your body might still anticipate being criticized. If you're finally stable, your body might still expect the rug to be pulled out. This isn't intuition. This is conditioning. And that matters, because many spiritual seekers confuse nervous system fear with a sign. They think anxiety means something is wrong. Sometimes anxiety simply means you are in unfamiliar safety. Unfamiliar safety can feel dangerous at first. So the work is to teach your body what safety feels like. Here's a practice for that, tiny but powerful. When something good happens, pause for 10 seconds. That's it. Let your system register it. Let your breath notice it. Let your chest soften around it. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyes soften. Let your body receive the message. This is allowed. Because if you rush past good moments, your body never learns you can have them. And over time, you start building a new evidence trail. Not evidence that life is perfect, but evidence that you can be okay inside life. Now remember the loop I opened, the piece most people miss? Here it is. Releasing the past often requires releasing the self you became in order to survive it. And this is tender, because you may love that self. You may admire them. You may feel indebted to them. That self got you through. That self held everything together. That self kept you alive in ways no one saw. So of course, you don't want to let them go. But here's what I've come to understand. You don't release that self by rejecting them. You release them by graduating them. You say thank you. You don't have to work so hard anymore. You say you can rest now. You say, I'm here, I've got this. And then you begin living from a new part of you, one that doesn't need to earn safety through struggle. This is important to hear. Your radiant future is not something you achieve by becoming someone else. It's what appears when you stop living as someone you had to become. Now I want to speak to a specific experience that so many people have and rarely say out loud. Sometimes you keep revisiting the past because you're trying to go back and rescue yourself. Have you noticed that? You replay the moment and imagine what you wish you'd said. You imagine walking away sooner. You imagine choosing differently. You imagine seeing the red flags. You imagine having more confidence, more clarity, more strength. That's not you torturing yourself. That's your love trying to travel backward. So instead of replaying with shame, I want you to try this. When you notice yourself going back, whisper to yourself, I'm coming to get you. And imagine, gently, simply, holding the hand of that younger you in that moment, not to change the event, but to change the loneliness. You might say, you didn't deserve that. You might say, I'm so proud of you. You might say, I know you did your best. You might say, you're safe with me now. And then, in your mind, you bring them with you to the present. This is not fantasy. This is integration. It tells your system, the part of me that was stranded back there is welcome here. Let that settle. Now I want to weave in a brief story, just for a moment, because it can help your heart understand. I once knew someone who kept saying she couldn't let go of the past, and she felt ashamed about it. She'd read every book, tried every meditation, done all the right things. One day she admitted, almost in a whisper, "If I let go, it feels like I'm saying it didn't matter." And in that moment, everything shifted, because what she was holding wasn't the pain itself, it was the meaning. She needed to know her experience mattered, and that she mattered. When she finally gave herself that validation, the past softened, not immediately, not magically, but genuinely. And your heart is asking for the same honesty right now. Do you see it? Sometimes we hold on because we're afraid release equals dismissal. So let's make a new agreement. Releasing the past does not mean what happened was okay. Releasing the past means you refuse to let it keep stealing your life. And that is a sacred choice. Now I want to offer you another gentle practice, one you can return to whenever the past grips you. It's called the 3-sentence release. When you feel triggered, when you feel the memory rise, when you feel yourself spiraling, you say 3 sentences inside yourself slowly. First, this is an old feeling. Second, it makes sense I feel this. Third, I am here now. That's it. Old feeling, valid feeling, present moment. And while you say them, notice your breath. Notice if you can lengthen your exhale just a little, not to force calm, to signal safety. Your body already recognizes this truth. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. Now let's talk about embracing your radiant future in real-world terms. Because you're not here to just feel inspired for a moment. You're here to live differently. A radiant future is built through tiny choices that align with your worth. It might look like saying no without over-explaining. It might look like resting before you earn it. It might look like asking for help without apologizing. It might look like choosing relationships that feel like peace, not performance. It might look like pursuing work that doesn't require you to betray your nervous system. And yes, it might also look like allowing joy. That one is big. Because for many people, joy feels vulnerable. Joy feels like lowering your guard. Joy feels like inviting loss. But what if joy is not a naive risk? What if joy is a spiritual muscle? What if you strengthen it slowly, safely, consistently? In the coming days, you might start to notice small moments where you feel lighter, and your mind tries to pull you back into seriousness. When that happens, try saying, "It's safe to feel good for a moment. Not forever, not as a promise, just for a moment." And then let the moment be yours. Now we're going to go deeper into one of the most misunderstood parts of releasing the past. Forgiveness. Many people think forgiveness is the requirement for freedom, and they try to force it. They try to leap there spiritually because they don't want to be bitter. They don't want to be stuck. They don't want to carry anger. But forgiveness that is forced becomes another form of self-abandonment. So let's redefine it. Forgiveness is not saying it was okay. Forgiveness is not reconciling. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not letting someone back in. Forgiveness, when it's real, is the moment your soul stops drinking poison, hoping someone else will suffer. And sometimes you're not ready for that yet, and that's okay. Sometimes the step before forgiveness is truth. Sometimes the step before forgiveness is boundaries. Sometimes the step before forgiveness is letting yourself be angry without becoming cruel. And sometimes forgiveness is simply this: I release myself from the belief that it was my fault. That alone can open a door. So if you've been pressuring yourself to be over it, I want to offer you permission. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to heal in layers. You are allowed to be in process. And yes, I said allowed, because something in you may still believe you have to earn healing through suffering. You do not. Healing is your birthright. Now, there's another hook the past uses, very sneaky, very common. It tells you that if you keep thinking, you'll prevent pain. Have you noticed how your mind tries to keep you safe by rehearsing worst-case scenarios? That's the mind's attempt at love. But it's a love that exhausts you. So here's a new practice. When you catch yourself rehearsing a disaster, you say, I bless the part of me that is trying to protect me, and I choose presence instead. Then find one thing in the room to soften your gaze on, one sound to listen to, one sensation to notice: your feet, your hands, the air on your skin. This is not avoidance. This is regulation. And regulated people make different choices. They choose relationships differently. They choose boundaries differently. They choose futures differently. Now let's weave in another truth. A radiant future isn't built by waiting until you feel confident. Confidence often comes after you practice being brave. So if there's something you've been postponing because you don't feel ready, speaking up, starting over, leaving what doesn't align, creating something new, consider this. What if readiness is not a feeling that arrives? What if readiness is a relationship you build with yourself by showing up? You don't need to leap. You can take one honest step, one truthful conversation, one boundary, one act of self-care that doesn't require justification, one moment of choosing what nourishes you. And if you take that step and fear comes up, that doesn't mean you chose wrong. It means you chose new. Your heart already knows this. Now I want to speak directly to the part of you that fears the future, because the past taught you disappointment. This is tender, so breathe with me for a moment. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. The future is not here to punish you. The future is not the past in a different outfit. The future is a field of possibility, and you get to bring a new self into it. Not a perfect self, a present self. And if you're wondering, how do I know I'm actually releasing the past? I'll tell you something simple. You know you're releasing the past when you stop needing it to make sense in order to be free. Some things will never make sense. Some people will never explain. Some endings will never feel fair. And still, you can be free, because your freedom is not dependent on their understanding. It's dependent on your willingness to come back to yourself. Now let's move into integration, the part where your insight becomes something you can live. There's a gentle practice that changes everything. You stop asking, how do I let go? And you begin asking, what do I still need to feel safe? Because when you meet that need with love, the past loosens its grip without a fight. So I want you to imagine one area of your life where you feel stuck. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's your body. Maybe it's your purpose. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's your ability to rest. And ask softly, what would make this feel 5% safer? Not 100%, not completely, just 5%. Would it be having a plan? Would it be asking someone for support? Would it be writing down your thoughts instead of carrying them all day? Would it be setting one boundary? Would it be taking one small action instead of trying to solve everything at once? Percent safer is how we change. This is how your nervous system learns you can move forward without collapsing. Now choose one phrase, one touchstone phrase, to repeat when the past tries to grab you. Here are two you can borrow if they resonate. I release what I've outgrown. I am safe to step into my life. Say it slowly and notice what your body does. I release what I've outgrown. I am safe to step into my life. And if your body resists, don't judge it. Just notice. Resistance is information, not failure. If you want to go even deeper, you can add a gentle question afterward. What part of me needs love right now? Because the past often returns when a part of you feels unseen in the present. And if you start meeting yourself there, consistently, lovingly, your inner world changes. In the coming weeks, you may notice why. You're less interested in people who pull you into old dynamics. You may notice you're less willing to explain yourself to those who don't honor you. You may notice your standards rising, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. That's radiance beginning. Not flashy, not loud. Steady. Now for the sacred close, I want to bring you back to the beginning, to that truth you needed to hear. You don't miss the past. You miss the certainty. So let's offer your system a new kind of certainty. Not the certainty that nothing will ever hurt again. That's not life. The certainty that you will not abandon yourself again. The certainty that you will listen to your body. The certainty that you will honor your boundaries. The certainty that you will tell yourself the truth with kindness. The certainty that you will choose what aligns. The certainty that you will come back to your breath when fear tries to run the show. This is important to hear. You are not here to keep paying for what happened. You are not here to keep proving you're worthy. You are here to live. And if there's a part of you that doubts that, I want you to place a hand on your heart again, just for a moment, and whisper something simple.